I'm Stephanie.
I'm Katie.
And this is the Reading Nook Magic Podcast.
We're going to be talking about Fourth Wing today. I'm very excited. The anticipation has been killing me. I'm late to the party, though.
Yeah, this was my second time reading it.
Yeah, I read them all in the past 4 days to rush to be ready for Onyx Storm because, how could I not? I didn't really do anything this week besides read these books, and I'm really excited
to start. Does it feel like the week was worth it?
It was worth it. I am happy. I don't feel like I wasted the week. I'm really happy that I read it.
Yeah. I read them in like the beginning of 2024, and I had to reread them because I have the memory of a goldfish, and like it was like reading it again for the first time. There were things that I was like, wait, what? I don't even remember. Something wrong with me. But anyway, no, it was fun the second time around too.
Yeah, I remember you saying that it was just as exciting. Like, that's great when you can reread a book and not be like, let me just,
it was less than a year ago.
I mean, well, it's okay. Gotta have some walnuts or something.
Is that the secret to a better memory?
I think it's supposed to like help with memory. Don't take medical advice from me. I'm not a medical professional.
I think mine's a little more like trauma related, so there's probably some deep diving I should do. But that's for another day. So
yeah, so we're super hyped. I know that the whole internet is buzzing with Onyx.
It is so hyped.
Like,
so hyped.
Way more than I even thought. When I went to Barnes & Noble on Tuesday morning at 9:45.
Before they were open.
It was 5 degrees out. And I was already making fun of myself for doing that. Because I'm like, this is not necessary. Like, I do not need to do this. I didn't pre-order the book. So I was like, okay, if I didn't pre-order, let me just make sure I'm there. I get there and the whole lobby area was full of women. And they were older women. And I was like, there's no way they're here for this book. There's just no way. But there was like a whole display case in the window, and yeah, every single person was there to get the book, and I couldn't believe it. And then I called you, and I called my brother's girlfriend. I was like, you want me to get a copy for you? They sold out, I think, that day.
Feels like a little more hype than the Sarah J. Maas universe, right? Like,
ooh, I don't want to be sacrilegious.
That was such a big deal.
It's fun. It makes it exciting, and like having so many people like simultaneously like talking about it. Like I'll like go to a coffee house and I'm like, oh, she's reading it, or like when we go out and we're like, oh, I bet you they read the books. I don't know. It's just fun. It's been exciting to be so hyped up. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about the book? Like the first one. We'll start with Fourth Wing.
Fourth Wing I really liked, and that seems to be like the consensus, right? Because I like pulled a little data from Goodreads, and that book has 2.5 million ratings, 300,000 reviews, and 4.6 stars. Like people love it. People really, really love it, and I have to agree. Like it was just. Blew through it really fast both times. Like I wanted to keep reading. It was like the cliffhangers from the chapters, wanted to keep going. Like, loved it.
Yeah, at the end of each chapter definitely keeps you going. You're like, all right, and they're not long, like they're short enough that you're like, oh, one more. You know what I mean? I've had blinders on for a while because, I mean, as far as notoriety and popularity goes, this is really up there. So a lot of people obviously have read it, and I didn't, and I waited. Because I'm a procrastinator, and it was hard to not have people spoil it for me. I didn't read any reviews. I didn't know. I knew it was popular. I didn't know if it was good. Mm-hmm. Was it popular just because people are curious, or is it popular because it's enjoyable? Like how? I don't know. Sometimes things get hyped up, and you're like, yeah, that was overhyped. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's got its haters too, and they like really.
It does. Yeah. So I didn't read any. Like I just finished.
I'm just like fascinated to know like what everybody says and thinks and why they pull their opinions, and it's really interesting. Like the people who hate it.
Hate Fourth Wing.
Yeah. They insult her writing. Like,
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
the character development, the world building, like
yeah.
There's some hate, but obviously 4.6 stars like
overall
not enough of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't see hating. I mean, obviously, we'll get into some of the things that like I noticed or didn't notice or didn't really resonate with me or whatever. But I think for the most part, I can't really imagine hating it. But I mean, there's some things.
Yeah, there's always something.
So overall for me it was like a 4.5, I think. Easy to read, super enjoyable, just enough spice to keep me awake late at night. I don't know what to do with that sentence.
You have to say it.
I mean, it's true.
That's what the girlies
I'm like,
want.
ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gave me just a little enough flushness in my cheeks while I'm reading it when people are around, so it was
Like how explicit and...
Yeah, and I don't think it was overdone either. It wasn't like, ugh, what am I reading? Am I actually reading like, one of the books from the pharmacy? Like
I felt like a true romance novel.
Yeah. I enjoyed it, but I thought she was a great storyteller. I was not distracted by any obvious flaws in writing. I think that, well, let's get into what we loved first, and then we can talk about some of that stuff, because I loved a lot about the book.
Yeah.
I loved Xaden.
Obviously.
Loved. Out of all of my book boyfriends, he's definitely not number one, but I don't know if he's 2 or 3, to be honest with you. I really like him.
People are going to want to know who your number 1 is now.
Well, come on. But yeah, no,
I think he's a fantastic character because he's good-hearted. He cares about just all the people that he's in charge of, obviously as a responsibility, and he holds on to that so unwavering. There is no question.
And he takes his responsibility so seriously, even though, as the story progresses, and we may overlap a little bit into Iron Flame here, because I don't know exactly when this kind of gets brought up, but him being well, I still would choose you, Violet, at the end of the day, he would choose her, but I don't know that he would, actually destroy his movement. I just don't see it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's going to happen in the next book. Clearly, something pretty significant is going to happen after finishing. He's really admirable and honorable, despite having so much power. I don't, he's a guy, so he exploits it a little bit, but it's not obnoxious at all. Been looking for my Zaddy everywhere ever since. Can't wait to meet him. I will definitely not get mad at him. He can keep all the secrets he wants.
There's so many characters and people die and whatever.
I think that's intentional, to be honest, right? Because that's the whole point of the quadrant or whatever, is to desensitize them and not think of each of those people as people.
It could be intentional. Haven't heard that one yet, but...
Yeah, I mean, well, it says that was intentional for the characters, but I wonder if it's intentional for the reader, too. To, kind of go through that same... experience as the writers. Your first reading, you're like, oh, this is like the Hunger Games. There's kids just being slain and falling off of stuff and plummeting to their deaths, and everyone's just carrying on. And it was very traumatic to start to read that. And then as the book went on, I'm like, yeah, you know what? They're the weak link. They gotta go. And so I almost feel like I kind of followed along with the characters in that. So what do we think about Dain? We're just gonna talk about Dain. We're just gonna get into it. People hate Dain. No, that's one of the things people hate. I don't know if I hate him. Why do you hate him?
Because he's a rule follower in a war college that's so, these are the rules you're going to follow? There's no ethics behind it. There's no, what you're expected to follow in the rules. I don't know.
But we're rule followers.
When it comes to ethics, I feel like I would veer towards the ethical right thing to do rather than, this is
what it is.
Rule, so this is what I'm going to do.
I mean, in his defense, though, they think that they're doing it to save all of the citizens, right?
I guess his love is just not a love that I'd be seeking.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I put myself in these books, and that's where it happens. I'm like, what would I do if this person was in my life? And I was like...
Yeah. See, the rule following is annoying. I mean, I love how Xaden, compares the two, Violet compares him, Xaden and Dain, and how, Xaden's empowering her and telling her, you should throw some daggers. And he's like, stay in the corner, be safe. That annoys me because I'm a fighter, so I just can't vibe with that. Absolutely not. Throw the fucking daggers. Throw the daggers and fight, But...
The controlling aspect.
Yeah, but it's coming from a good place. So, that didn't... I mean, it's annoying, but it didn't really bother me. The rule following obviously went over the line for me when it was would I save Violet, my friend since childhood, or would I follow the rules? And it's you'd follow the rules. So, as much as I am a rule follower, I don't really think there's gray area when it comes to family and friends, and that makes me a hypocrite for sure. Like, don't make me a general of an army, because like, I'm probably going to save my friends and family first, if I'm honest, whether that's right or wrong. He loves her, doesn't he? In his way? I mean, he does, right? We find that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone hates him. I don't hate you, Dain. I don't hate Dain. Sorry. As annoying as he is, I don't hate him. I actually think it's a really fun counterpart to like have Xaden, who's so perfect and beautiful and gorgeous and strong and powerful, feel threatened. And he does. He feels threatened. He feels jealous. I did find it interesting that when he kisses her for the first time, the thrill, this is like us. Like, one moment can ruin everything. The thrill is done in less than a heartbeat. There's no heat, no energy, no sharp slice of lust. Disappointment sours the moment. But for Dain, he's all smiles as he pulls away. It was over in an instant, and it was everything that I ever wanted except shit. I don't want it anymore. And I feel like I've had that happen to me before.
Yeah.
Where you think someone's something, and then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, that spark is gone. Just like, whoosh, done.
Yep.
So weird.
It's terrifying that strong emotions could actually be so fleeting. It's terrifying.
Right, her whole life, they were like best friends. So I don't hate Dain. Okay, don't hate Dain. I know, I don't hate Dain. He's annoying, he's a little turd, but I don't hate him. However, I'm not even really mad at him for taking her memory. Like, he didn't, I mean, that's what he does. Yeah, I know it's a violation. I know, he violated her, he did. I get it. But he believes it was whatever. I know I'm gonna get murdered. I just whatever. But what I did when I did hate him for a second was when he didn't believe her. That Amber and the other people tried to assassinate her in her sleep. That made me sick. Like, that made me, if I was her, I would have chucked a dagger at his throat. Like, that is your best friend. You are believing someone, I get it, like, go through the gauntlet and all the things, and they're bonded, but, like...
I think they had a thing, too.
Did they? Oh, okay.
I think there was don't mention they had a thing.
But how could you not believe... Like, just keep telling her, tell them they're lying, tell them they're lying, tell them they're lying. It's not true. If I, like, someone attempted to murder me, and they told me that I didn't see that person, that would have been it for me. It wouldn't even have been the touching her and repeating what he thinks was saving. I feel like those intentions, while annoying, are clear. What was his intention of just completely not believing his best friend? Like, to me, that's a bigger violation. I don't know. It just made me infuriated. I was so mad.
Yeah.
And I would have fell for Xaden right there. He believed you right away. He stood up in front of everyone. He had no verification that was true.
Anyways, so speaking of Violet, in this book, like, I love her, especially for, like, what you just said and her outlook with Xaden and, like, just, you know, when she, like, doesn't care, she's gonna, you know, she's got to say her truth. She doesn't care if Xaden feels the same way. She's gonna tell him, like, just, at least my truth is out there. That's all that matters. Like, she's so strong in this book.
Yes.
Every other female main character, she's weak and 20 and whatever, and she, like, but then goes on to, like, prove herself and finds her strengths, use her strengths, and it just, like, she overcomes things in her own way, and love her in this book.
Yeah, it's actually, that's probably, I think I told you, like, my favorite thing about this book was she cut through the bullshit in the beginning. You know, she felt insecure, she was torn, you know, oh, why am I attracted to such a toxic man? He's so dangerous. Why do I like him? You know, reminding herself that she doesn't like toxic men, but she does, because don't we all on some level, right? The danger, the excitement of it. I mean, that's what makes a man a little bit, right? Is that they are stronger, they are fierce, whatever. But even despite that, when she starts to have those feelings, she's conflicted, but she just says it. And it was really refreshing. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but, like, that ends, and that's super annoying. I will say that's my least favorite part of the second book, but we'll get to that. It was really, really refreshing in this one. It was just nice to have, it felt like she was in control. Yeah, I don't know, there's one part, but she's just like, because I only want you, Xaden. And she just, like, says it. And he's not giving her a safe space to even really feel that. He didn't make himself, actually, maybe the one part I don't like about him, he didn't really make her feel comfortable. He waited for her to make the first move. which is fine. Like, women can make the first move, but I really liked her too. She seems strong in this.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's because I think the author did a fantastic job of weaving together all the messiness.
Mhm.
Like, it's not just enemies to lovers.
Right.
There's so much going on. Like, he has to protect his people, but then he also falls for her, who's the daughter of the person who killed his people.
Right.
And now their dragons are mated, and like their lives are tied. Like, it is so interwoven and messy
Right.
that like it works.
Like, one of my favorite parts about this too is just the author's description of like how Violet feels. Obviously we all read these books for the romance part. I think she does a really good job of just bringing us to feel what Violet's feeling, to elicit those emotions inside of us. And I really, really appreciate it. I picked out some of my favorite ones. I won't read them all, but I love, she says, there's a palpable energy in every room he enters, and it brushes all over my skin like a caress each time our eyes meet. Even now, I'm aware of every breath he takes as he sits next to me midway down the table. It resonated with me. I liked it. It got me there.
Like wanting to feel that.
Yeah.
Or just being able to feel her.
I could feel it. I feel like I was experiencing it with her. Which is what I'll say this author is really good at for me, is making me, again, go through what I imagine the emotions of the writers are. Feel like I understand Violet. Feel like I understand even the annoying character. Yeah, that'd be the good part. The part where it lost me was, I guess, actually the world building. I did write down that I had a really hard time in the beginning of the book visualizing what she was talking about. I mean, maybe that's my lack of understanding of castles and their names and like sorry.
Like what a
Parapet, a turret, like all of that.
Like the gauntlet looks like.
Yeah, and I still can't really picture what the gauntlet looks like. I'm picturing like a wipeout course. Like the shell.
That's what I imagined as well. And then then I would see like some fan art where they designed it, and I was like, oh, that's actually terrifying. Way more terrifying.
See, like I put blinders on because I was behind, so I didn't look any of it up. So I'm like trying to visualize it.
I think I have the same issues like with her like territories too. Like I'm not, I still can't really grasp what's what and what areas. Like that's the part that's a little bit messy as far as I don't know, just those areas. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's her or me, but I had a hard time getting. I didn't have a hard time losing myself with characters, but I did have a hard time losing myself in the world.
Yeah, I think that's the struggle is that there's so much like potential foreshadowing in the book. Like you're always like, this is going to mean something. This is going to mean something. I know it is. What and then you need like the FBI board, like solving a case, like writing it all out, connecting the dots. Like there's so much, because when I went back and looked at it, I was like, oh, that actually so far hasn't turned out to be relevant. Like what? So there was so much that I was trying to remember, and like I don't know how much of it actually came back to play a role, at least up to the point that we are.
That's a good point. There may be more.
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 more books. Well, yeah.
I definitely caught some of it. I, again, had blinders on, so I always, it's like a dorky thing I do where I like get really happy if I can figure out what's going on before I get to it.
Yeah.
It's like a competitive thing that I do, and I'm like, ooh, I knew that. So I wrote down all the things I knew.
You've done that a lot.
I do it every time. Yeah. I'm like,
I had that.
I knew it. So like, all the fables and stuff, they reference that a couple times. I knew that was going to come in. It had to have some significance. It had to have significance that some of them didn't have those fables and others did. It's like, that was pretty obvious to me. Talking about Xaden right off the beginning. I mean, clearly we knew who was going to be. I didn't actually even know who the main male character was, actually, when I started this book. So I had fresh eyes. I had no tainting, no nothing. So, but I mean, by page 14, I was like, all right, well, I wish maybe like it would have a little bit slower of a burn. Like it would have had like maybe been a little bit more powerful if I thought Dain was going to be it, and then it wasn't. But I mean, whatever. That's just me. What I did not see, and which I love because I'm such a dork and I'm always trying to find, was that Brennan. When I read that, I texted you in the middle of the night and I was like, what? Brennan's alive?
Did not see that coming.
I didn't. Did you? No. I mean, at all. I was like, what?
Yeah.
But like, what? What? I mean, I guess I've come to terms with it now that he's in the whole second book, but it really, I like that. I like being surprised. It was enjoyable. really want to pick up the next book. And I did. I picked it up that night. I was like midnight and I just kept reading. So kudos.
Yeah. I'm pretty fascinated by like the little tidbits from her dad. Like I wish I want to know more like about her dad and all the little things that seem to be interwoven with him trying to push her to the scribe quadrant. And I like made a note like, I know you'll make the right choice when the time comes. He warned me through the only way he knew how, through books.
Yep.
Like he's trying to set her up like moment by moment with that. And there was another thing in the next book which we could always bring up, but it was like how one of the characters said your dad was writing a book about feather tails. Like, why? And
right.
You know, so he was definitely highly involved. So I'd love to know if that comes out.
I feel like it will. So we're definitely bridging the gap between the two books right now. Her mom seemed to want to save her from being in the scribe quadrant so that because she knew they wouldn't be able to corrupt her essentially. Did her mom know that her dad was also simultaneously hinting and teaching her all this stuff behind the scenes her whole life?
Good question.
It was the love of her life. She made that very clear. But I wonder if that'll all tie in a little bit more too, as to clearly her dad wanted her to be prepared. But it's interesting, they seem to have a solid marriage, like they were an actual unit, which is crazy since she's such a whatever. That's a weird match. I can't even imagine what their story would be. But I don't know, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think it's mentioned where it's like, I guess going back talking about what's right and wrong and following the rules, like she goes on to say, you know, like I made these choices to save you. Like, so obviously she's not doing what's right and what's right.
Wouldn't she just tell her then? It seems like the dad was trying to do that. It seems like the dad was really just kind of, I understand it's well, that's, yeah, definitely
That's
Iron Flame. Yeah, that's Iron Flame. We'll put a little pin in that. One super not important thing is I, similarly to a lot of books, want to vomit at her nickname. I hate that. Sorry, that's actually probably the thing I hate the most about the book.
So dumb.
Violence.
So dumb.
Violence. Haha. Violence, get it? No.
Yeah.
Don't. Shh. You're ruining it.
Agreed. No argument there.
I hate it. If we could stop doing that. Ironically, I saw a post on Instagram today that was talking about that. It was like, all right, name your top 10 worst, like, least favorite nicknames for the female character. Whatever. You get it. It's stupid. Stop making up dumb nicknames. But yeah, Fourth Wing. It's the best. I loved it. I'm really excited to talk about the second one. Like Fourth Wing better than Iron Flame. Feel like I'm going to like Onyx Storm the most. But yeah. And cut.
That's it?
Oh my god, was I not recording?
No way. How do you know that?
Because it wasn't red. But it wasn't green.
I mean, we have it on these devices.
I mean, I guess that's not the end of the world, but that would suck. We weren't recording.
You're gonna have to do it again then. You want me to
There's a
pause?
pause button. That was so good. Well, we're clearly using that. I don't care. I mean, it is what it is.
From where? Our phones?
No.
The camera has sound.
It's just not going to be as high quality. Oh well, it's fine.